You ever sit back and think, why does this keep happening to me? Like, seriously. You meet someone, it starts off amazing. The chemistry is strong. They're attentive. They're present. And then something shifts. They start taking longer to reply. They seem distant. They say they're busy. They avoid talking about the future. And suddenly you feel like you're chasing something that was freely given in the beginning. And you're confused because you're not asking for too much. You're just asking for consistency. So why does this pattern keep repeating? Let's talk about it honestly. Because this isn't about bad luck. And it's not because you're too much. Most of the time, when someone keeps attracting emotionally unavailable people, there's a dynamic happening underneath the surface, and it usually connects to attachment. Now, I'm not going to make this overly clinical, but attachment theory, first developed by John Bowlby, basically explains how the way we experienced love early on shapes how we respond to love now. Some people grow up learning that love is safe and consistent. Others grow up learning that love can disappear. If love felt unpredictable in your past, if you had to work for attention, if affection wasn't always guaranteed, your nervous system may now mistake unpredictability for attraction. And that's where things get tricky, because emotionally unavailable people are often very attractive at first. They're independent, mysterious, hard to read, and when they give you attention, it feels earned. It feels special. But here's the part no one talks about. When someone is emotionally unavailable, closeness makes them uncomfortable. So the moment things deepen, they pull away. And if you're someone who fears losing connection, you lean in harder. You text more, you try to reassure them. You become more understanding, you shrink your needs, and now you're in a cycle. They withdraw, you pursue. They withdraw more, you try harder, and it feels intense. But intensity is not intimacy. Read that again. Intensity is not intimacy. Let me ask you something. When you're with someone emotionally unavailable, do you feel calm? Or do you feel like you're constantly waiting? Waiting for reassurance, waiting for clarity, waiting for them to choose you fully. If you're honest with yourself, it probably feels more like anxiety than peace. And that's important, because healthy love doesn't feel like walking on eggshells. It doesn't feel like decoding mixed signals. It doesn't make you question your worth every week. Here's another hard truth. Sometimes we're not attracted to emotionally unavailable people because they're unavailable. We're attracted to them because trying to win them feels familiar. If love used to feel like something you had to earn, you may unconsciously recreate that dynamic. Not because you want pain, but because it feels known. And the brain prefers what's familiar over what's healthy, even if what's familiar hurts. And here's where it gets deeper. Emotionally unavailable people often give just enough to keep you hooked. Just enough vulnerability, just enough affection, just enough hope, but never enough stability. It creates a push-pull effect. And push-pull dynamics are addictive, because when they come back after pulling away, it feels like relief. But relief is not the same as security. Let me say that again. Relief is not the same as security. Now I want you to think about your last situation. When they pulled away, did you feel secure enough to say, okay, that's fine? Or did your body go into panic mode? If it felt like panic, that's not love. That's attachment fear being triggered. And this is not about blaming you. This is about awareness. Because once you see the pattern, you can break it. Here's how. First, stop chasing distance. If someone consistently pulls away when things get deeper, believe the pattern. Second, pay attention to consistency over chemistry. Chemistry is easy. Consistency is intentional. Third, ask yourself this question. Does this connection make me feel safe or unsure? Be honest. And finally, work on becoming secure within yourself. Secure people don't feel the urge to prove their worth. They don't overfunction to keep someone. They don't shrink to avoid abandonment. They choose people who choose them back. And the moment you stop trying to convince someone to love you, you start attracting people who don't need convincing. You deserve a love that feels steady, not a love that feels like a test. If this video felt personal, that's not an accident. Drop a comment and tell me, do you think you tend to lean anxious, avoidant, or secure? And be honest. Because the first step to changing your pattern is recognizing it.